And at the end of each book of Torah, what do we say? Hazak, Hazak, V'nit Hazik. Be strong, and let us be strengthened. Each book should strengthen us. Each time we read through it, we should be strengthened. I'm really excited right now. I am. I'm really excited because at this point we're moving into Deuteronomy, Devarim, the book of words. The book of words. And what is Devarim? It is the last book of Torah. So we'll be ending the Torah cycle here in just a few weeks, just a couple of months. We'll be ending the Torah cycle for the year. And then what do we get to do? We get to go back and start over again. And so when we go back and start over again, what happens then? All of a sudden our memory starts kicking in and we start thinking, oh, when we read this last year, we talked about this. But then our heart starts looking for something that we missed. Something that we missed last year. And after we get to do this for about 40 years, okay? Because I don't know about the rest of you, but the promise to me is 120, okay? The promise to me is 120. So I know I'm only going to be 60 in January, so I know I got a good 40 left in me. Okay? I got a good 40 left in me. So if I do this for the next 40 years, just think. And then we think about like Aiden and little Sandy and little Willem and all these little guys that are running around now, you know, that are just this big. If they do this for 50 years, they hear mom and dad, grandma, grandpa talking about this for 50 years, just think, if Mashiach tarries, just think how much they're going to know. Amen. Now, here's what we wanted to talk about today. Back in the beginning of this, in chapter 30, am I right? Chapter 30? Did we start in chapter 30 today? Wow. Wow. How time flies. I thought that was like, weeks ago. Now, chapter 30 today, we realized that the word matat means tribes. And this is basically what we talked about. We talked about that through this whole portion. Even in the portion 43, we talked about the tribes. Okay? Do you see how this is coming to a point before we go into Devarim here? The stage is now set. They're at the Yarden. They've wandered, they've lived 42 places, or 41, however many the count was, okay? They've lived all these places, so now here they are. They can see the river. They can see across the river. Okay? They can see where they're going. Two tribes have already agreed, hey, we're going to take our inheritance here, but we'll go over with you. Okay, so we don't have to have this big division here. We can make this. We can do this. Okay. So, you might say we see the stage set here. Now, in verses 2 through 17, it talks about vows. Vows that are made. It talks about vows that are made that you have to keep, vows that are made that you don't keep. Talks about all these different vows. So I want to see what Mashiach said about vows. So if we want to turn over to the book of Matthew, we want to go to chapter 5. Chapter 5. I'm doing this a little bit different this week. I want to see how you all like the way we do it this week, okay? So if we go to Matthew, we go to chapter 5. Shouldn't be hard to find Matthew chapter 5, but it seems to be avoiding me. Okay. 1227, thank you. Okay, chapter 5, and we wanted to go to verses 33 to 37. Those should be pretty easy to find. Yes, 33 to 37, and it says, and again you have heard that our fathers were told, do not break your oath and keep your vows to Adonai. But I tell you not to swear at all, not by heaven, because it is God's throne, and not by the earth, because it is his footstool, and not by Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great king. And don't swear by your head, because you can't make a single hair white or black. Just let your yes be a simple yes, and your no a simple no. Anything more than that has its origin in evil. So, what he's telling us is we should live our life to the point of where someone hears us say yes or no, they know we mean yes or no. We shouldn't have to say, I swear to you on my father's grave, or whatever, okay? I swear to you on this book that I'm going to tell you the truth. We shouldn't have to say that. We should live our lives to where someone knows that we're going to tell them the truth, okay? You know, this last few weeks, haven't we seen a lot? We've seen a lot of things in the news, and we've seen a lot of things that we might not agree with. We might not agree with it. But something we have to bear in our mind, okay? The things mostly we're seeing right now are civil things. This is all civil. I had a discussion this last week with another minister. He wanted to know my stand on gay marriage. And I looked at him and I said, I don't have a stand on gay marriage. And he says, what do you mean? I said, it's not right. Okay? Scripturally, it's not right. I said, but you have to remember something. What's in the news is not scriptural marriage. What's in the news is what? Civil. Civil. It's the courthouse downtown. It's the courthouse. It's not the scripture. And I'll go back a little bit. Back when I was young, probably before some of you were born, but probably not, for some others. But back when I was young, the big issue was an issue of a law got passed, and the great decision of the Supreme Court, everybody can probably quote the names of it. It was called Roe versus Wade. And it was an issue about abortion.
I've heard about it.
Right, you're a little young for it. But I remember all the newspaper stories. Back then, everybody read newspapers, okay? And I remember seeing it on the television and all this stuff. And I'm sure anybody probably over the age of 50 probably remembers it really well, okay? And that law got passed. The Supreme Court ruled on that, and that came down. And it legalized, basically it legalized abortion in this country of children under the age of so many weeks in the womb. And over the course of years, I've literally seen billions of dollars spent trying to reverse that ruling. Do I agree with the ruling? No, I do not. I do not agree with abortion. I'm an anti-abortion person. But here's my issue. My issue is, and this is my issue with gay marriage. Do I agree with gay marriage? No, I do not. Okay, I do not. I would stand against it. Okay, and I do. But here's my issue. My issue is, both those circumstances are civil law in this country. Two people do not need me to marry them. They don't need me to. They can go down to the courthouse, where they have to go anyway, because they have to get a marriage license in this country to be married. I don't care what state you live in, you have to go to a courthouse and get a marriage license. And you pay for that marriage license. It's a civil thing. Now, if they come to me with it, okay, then I can marry them. But I don't have to marry them. I've turned down marriages before. I simply tell them I'm not in agreement with this union. It's not difficult. They can go down to the courthouse and see a judge and get married. They can go to, I don't know, anywhere around here, but when I was a kid, there was a justice of the peace in the city of Fairborn. You could go see the justice of the peace in that city and get married. It's a civil matter. It's a civil matter. They've spent billions of dollars since 1973 or 4, whenever they passed that law. Okay, they've spent billions of dollars to stop that law. And if anything, the law has gotten stronger over the years. It's been more liberal. They can now kill children at an older age than what they could kill them before. All that money, all those billions of dollars has gotten nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. My personal feeling is we should have spent billions of dollars educating our children not to be immoral. And the money would have been much better spent. Okay? But they chose to do it that way. And I see the same thing getting ready to happen with this. I see people going to be spending all this money when they could actually do what? They could teach their children not to be immoral. Okay? And then end it that way. So, vows,
There's too much talk, not enough action.
vows, what does Yeshua say here? He says, I tell you not to swear at all. Keep your yes, yes, and your no, no. Do I agree with what our government does? No, I don't. I do not. I think they're way off base here. I can give you a whole list of things that they do I don't agree with. Okay? But I still live here. And most of the things I don't agree with don't affect me. Why? Because I make every effort in my body, in my flesh, in my soul to live a spiritual life. And if you're living a spiritual life, those things will not affect you because you're not involved in them. I get called for jury duty, I tell them I don't swear. They look at me funny, they cock their head usually to one side or the other. Okay? And I explain to them. And they say, well, what do you do? And I said, I will say yes or no. I will tell you the truth. And that usually messes them up because they're not used to anybody being willing to tell them the truth in a court of law. Okay? They're really not. They actually want you to lie to them. Okay? So that's where I am with the vows. I stand with Yeshua.